The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated. Welcome back to the Nova Society, the space where dialogue deepens understanding and civic responsibility comes to life. I'm Dr. Mark Bound, joined by our regular panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon. Together, we'll unpack the stories that matter most, exploring the headlines, the history, and the big ideas shaping today's conversations. Let's dive in and hear what the panel has for us today. All right, Brooke, what do we got for today?
Well, today we have a question from Emily, who lives in Olympia, Washington, and Emily asks, so there's a lot of talk about Democrats outperforming Kamala Harris in recent special elections. The pundits are claiming that this is a bellwether for things to come in the 2026 midterms. First, do you agree with that? Second, is this shift due to Harris being a terrible candidate or a rejection of Trump's policies? I suppose it could be both. That's just my aside. And if there is time, one last question. I see that the VA Bar Association has decided to punt the football on disbarring Lindsay Halligan. Why do you think they are reluctant to act? And shouldn't state bar associations hold these incompetent and corrupt Trump lawyers accountable? To that last one, I say yes, absolutely. And I think they're reluctant to act because they don't want to go against Trump and have death threats and be the ones holding the bag. They want to be the ones who they just want to pass it along to somebody else, which is what everybody else or most others seem to be doing and to have been doing regarding Trump. So, Mark Scott?
Yes, Emily, you're correct. And we actually saw yesterday another shift. They had the Tennessee 7th, which in 2024, the Republicans won by 22%. I actually did some research on this one. In the special election, the Republicans did still win the seat, still won it, but by 9%. So that's a 12% shift right there. So that's rather important. Again, you're right. The Arizona 7th, the Democrats won it in 2024 by 27%. In the special election, they won it by 39%. Again, 12%. We're looking at about a 12% shift there. The interesting ones were Florida first. Republicans in 2024 won that by 32%. Now, they still won it in the special election this year, but this time by only 15%. So there was a 17% shift there. Florida 6th, same kind of deal. Republicans still won the seat, no doubt about that, but they, in 2024, 33%. In the special election, they only won it by 9%. Or I'm sorry, 14%. So again, we're talking about a 19%. The big one, a big move was in the Virginia 11th, where the Democrats did win. They did win it by 34% in 2024. And in the special election, they won it by 50%. So we had a 16-point shift there. But the real big one, Texas 18, there was a 28% shift toward the Democrats in Texas 18. So, yeah, that should be the writing on the wall when you've got that much. I mean, Tennessee 7th, they should have won that without even thinking about it. I mean, they really should have. And to only win it by 9%, that's not good. That's got to be a little bit of writing on the walls for the Republicans. Was Kamala Harris a bad candidate? I think the way she was put into it was bad. I think that left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I think they would have rather seen a expedited primary to go, let her get there from that. We've talked about it before. Scott and I think, both agree that we think that Joe Biden probably should have resigned the presidency with 2 years left to go, let Kamala Harris take over as the president, which is fully legal to do, and let her build her own brand and do her own thing, and then let the country, make its case. I think her and Tim Walz's campaign was, again, they were the happy warriors, but they talked a little too much about democracy, a little too much about saving democracy, a little too much about January 6th, where these were, kitchen table items, and the writing was on the wall for them. Everybody seems to think that the Republicans do so well with the economy, which is historically not true, but there's that perception exists there. So it is a little bit of, yeah, Harris wasn't the best candidate. How she got in there, I wouldn't say she was a terrible candidate at all. Yes, she had kind of a funny laugh, but I do think that a lot of this really, in my opinion, it is a rejection of the Trump policy. So we'll get to your second part of your question later, but we'll let Scott chime in here.
Well, now just let me interrupt for 1 second before I forget. Now we have Trump saying that the word affordability is a Democratic scam or a Democrat scam, however he put it. I don't remember if it was Democratic or Democrat, but the word, yeah. So that I didn't realize that apparently Trump seems to think that affordability as a word is brand new and that it's a scam. I
Well, hey,
find that unfathomable.
He's going to have two people that are going to believe him. Earlier this week, John from Tallahassee, and earlier this week, Thomas from Toledo. They're going to go on that one. They're going to say, yeah, that affordability, it's a scam.
Well, maybe not. Maybe we were able to at least. Well, remember now, Thomas said that he is. I'm assuming that they're both he for gender identity.
Don't say that. They're Republicans.
Has,
they don't do gender identity.
Well, anyway, for pronouns, anyway, I'm assuming that Thomas, who has an open mind, remember, maybe we gave Thomas something to consider. So maybe Thomas will realize that the word, I mean, if you can, well, I can do that now. I can look up the word affordability and see when the word afford was actually created. So Scott, why don't you go ahead while I look that up?
Well, we know that Scott doesn't think John from Tallahassee will be convinced of anything. So go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm not, I get paid the same whether I convince people or not. So it doesn't really matter whether, it's like my professionalism has to kick in somewhere, and I have to say, hey, look, I'm putting it out there. If you want to believe me, go ahead. If you don't want to believe me, go ahead. You can look at. I encourage everybody to do as much research as they can without cherry picking to confirm their bias. So, I forget what the question was exactly. It was something along the lines of we're outperforming Kamala Harris in recent special elections. Look, I'm a big believer. I'm a disciple of Bill Parcells, the former head football coach of the New York Giants, who said you are what you are. and if you're a backup quarterback, there's a reason you're a backup quarterback. And if you're a 4-12 team, there's a reason you're a 4-12 team. Right now, the Democrats are 4-12 team. Losing is bad, and Pyrrhic victories or what do they call them? What's the term for a victory that's not really a victory, but it's a moral win. You win a moral victory in Tennessee, right? So, right. I mean, basically all it meant was apparently there was one part of this congressional district that is extremely wealthy, old school Republicans. And from what I understood last night before I went back to watching a basketball game, it was a good game. The Duke versus Florida. Before I went back to the game, they were saying that there's this one, I don't know if it's a county, there's one section of that congressional district that was like multi-millionaires, like just huge houses, really, really wealthy people. In other words, traditional Republicans, and the traditional Republicans stayed home. They didn't come out and vote in this election. And that shows some kind of disaffection with Trump based on the fact that he's probably bad for their business. There's, he may be good for their 401ks or their stock market investments, but a lot of his policies are ruinous policies that we're going to continue to learn more and more about as time goes on, I think. I don't like those kinds of victory. I don't like moral victories. I prefer real victories. So I'm not going to go too crazy about the state of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party when it comes to voters. What I do think is important, though, is that good candidates do well, and that if we can go out. I heard on the radio the other day a former Marine general, I guess he was, who's running for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat in Georgia, and he sounded like a terrific guy that you would want to get to know better. I'm not down there, so I'm not going to get too exercised by it. He said he's going to be running against 12 different Republicans probably. I don't think any other Democrats are in the running, so it's probably his race, to lose on the Democratic side. And then it's a matter of, like, can he galvanize enough voters to cross party lines and vote for somebody who they think is really a native son, really did grow up in the district, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene, and has in mind for them what is best for them, not what is best for Trump or whoever. As far as that's concerned, there are going to be a lot of good candidates. And I think there are probably going to be some good candidates on both the Republican and the Democratic side. I don't know who's going to, I suppose whoever Donald Trump decides in the end is going to win the Republican primary is going to win. Unless he somehow dies before them, but still my heart, he's going to decide who the next Republican candidate is for president. The voters will decide, primary voters will decide on the Democratic side. It is noteworthy, I think, that Kamala Harris was not, one of the front runners in 2020, that Biden plucked her pretty much out of obscurity when he did. She's a highly qualified candidate. I thought she ran a pretty good race. The one thing that Democrats in general don't do well is show like their true person. Like, personal integrity matters to voters, and they try this, like, heavily sculpted, very tested, group tested sort of surveys, tell me what to do type of approach to their candidacies that I couldn't stand when Hillary Clinton did it. I didn't care for it when Kamala Harris did it. I liked her. I liked the way she ran most of her campaign, but she needed to go on the Joe Rogan program. She needed to, get out there with people more and be more visible and be herself. I thought, and I actually found Kamala Harris, although I agree with Mark a little bit about that laugh, that cackle. I thought that she had a really kind of cool persona.
Yep.
And that she would be a good candidate, and she'd probably be a good president, and we'd be in much better shape as a country than we are right now. That is the way I look at it. But whoever emerges, and there's plenty of good talent out there, whoever emerges is going to have a good chance to win. I do think that there was a little funny business with some of the 2024 election, as far as perhaps some of the voting machines and tallies and things like that, but I can't prove it. I just think that it's unlikely that Trump would have won all the swing states. But again, it could be a wave election, so maybe it did happen. I don't see the appeal, so I find it hard to believe, I guess. As far as what was the other part of this question? Halligan?
Halligan. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see that there was an answer from the Virginia bar on this. I know that there are groups that tried to get her barred from both Florida and Virginia, and so they decided that they weren't going to disbar her. Okay.
Yeah. They're waiting for the judge to say whether or not what she did was legal or illegal, and then they're going to leave it up to the Justice Department.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's a particularly good lawyer. She may be a good insurance lawyer, but she obviously wasn't a very good prosecutor. I don't think she knew the rules to begin with, so when she broke the rules, it wasn't necessarily done out of done out of any kind of bad faith, but she's just another underqualified person thrown into a role that they probably should have just said, "Oh, I'm really flattered you thought of me, but no, thank you." As I have said about so many of the people in the Trump administration that he elevates to roles that they have no business playing, and that includes her.
Yeah. So let me add, if I may, I personally don't care how Harris laughs, as someone with a cackling laugh myself, but I do agree with Mark, certainly, that and Scott as well, that Biden should have stepped down and allowed Harris an opportunity to govern, and then there should have been a regular primary. The whole situation was handled very badly. And as far as the word affordability was concerned, the word affordable was first begun to be used in the mid 1600s. The first recorded instance is from 1647. So the word originally, so it's from the verb afford, and the suffix, of course, is able. And the earliest meaning was able to be accomplished or managed. The word later evolved to the current financial meaning of able to be paid for. So there was an evolution of the meaning, and the word affordability, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, was first documented in 1910. So Trump's saying that the word affordability is a Democrat scheme or scam, I guess it is what he said, what Trump said. That is misinformation, disinformation, false, wrong, a lie, inaccurate, incorrect. Trump does not know what he's talking about. The word has been in usage far longer than recently, and there's no evidence whatsoever that the Democratic Party coined the word affordability. And the first, the individual here that did coin it was the Indianapolis Star. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the earliest known use of the word affordability from 1910 was in the Indianapolis Star. It doesn't say anything about the Democratic Party. So that is
no, it's pretty thorough. It's good research.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that is. So back in 1600, I can give you a little bit more thing onto it. That was from a guy that went into a tavern and said, "Is it affordable for me to drink this beer?" In other words, could I do that? And then in 1910, they were saying, does this beer meet my affordability? So yeah, that's really the true drunk history of the word affordable and affordability. All right, so really quick,
but it's got nothing to do with Democrats. I mean, it's just,
no, it has nothing to do with, well, because there was no Democrats in 1600. But anyway, and but there were Democrats in 1910.
1910.
But come on.
I mean, there's no connection, and it's
no,
just
there's
another
zero.
thing.
That's just another
instance of Trump saying whatever comes, whether it's demented or dementia induced.
Come on, Brooke. He's trying to get you to bend to his version of reality. When he says things like that, that's all.
Please. Well, that's not going to happen.
Well, and all right. So first, let me just really quickly address this thing with Halligan. Let's remember something about the Bar Association. It's made up of lawyers. And what is the first thing that you say? What do you call 100 lawyers at the bottom of a lake? A good start. That's exactly right. A good start. It's run by lawyers. So they have a tendency to kind of be judicious as an association. That was not a pun, but be judicious when it comes to policing their own ranks. Yes, they definitely have rules. But as Brooklyn pointed out, yes, they're waiting for the judge to make the decision. And I think that's probably proper. I think that's a proper thing for them to do, because now, even though the judge is also part of the Bar Association, because he's a judge and he's a lawyer, hopefully, he's kind of outside of that. it's like if you see a disbarment proceeding, a lot of times it's held by the state Supreme Court. They're the ones that actually do it. In fact, there's a great channel you can see on YouTube where the Florida Supreme Court does disbarment and policing of judges. It's very interesting to watch. So again, it's one of those things where unless getting the judge to say, yeah, you did wrong, that just gives them a little bit more street cred, and say, hey, listen, the judge said you did it wrong, therefore we got to say you broke the rules. So it kind of gives them a little bit of cover. I think they should probably disbar Pam Bondi. I mean, let's face it, there's a whole bunch of them they should probably disbar. But you've got to have that judge who is going to have the guts to get up there and say, hey, because this is wrong what you did. This is against legal ethics that you've done. This action that you've taken, and that gives the bar association, no matter, I don't care if it's Virginia, New York, South Carolina, I don't care what bar association it is, it gives them the cover that they need to be able to proceed. And kind of, yeah, you're right. I will say this, Emily, you are correct. It is a bit of punting the football down the field, basically saying, as we say with a punt, is here, heck, I can't do anything with the football. Here, you do something with it. And they are doing that. They're punting it down the field. So it's not that they're reluctant. It's that they like that little extra push to get them to do things. And I think that's some of the things that, the Trump team has been very good at finding totally incompetent lawyers. I mean, there was one now that they said was illegal to be a state's attorney. That just came out. I can't remember which.
Alina Habba.
Habba. Oh yeah, Habba, who was an absolute joke. And of course, the guy that defended Trump in a whole bunch of stuff is now an assistant attorney general. I mean, so if you can, it's a racket. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, it is a total racket. This makes a lot of the mob families look like amateurs. This truly is. It's amazing at how transparent the dishonesty and the corruption is. And all you do is you listen to it, and he says, "Oh no, this isn't what it is." Boom, boom. It's fine. And the majority of people that believe it is absolutely staggering. But it's to the affordability thing, even the Republicans are running away from that kind of statement. That tells you a lot. That truly does tell you a lot. And that's like in the previous podcast when we were talking. And Brooklyn said, well, Trump controls the House of Representatives. He could get them to do whatever he wants. I think there's a limit now. And it's called self-preservation that they have. They are not going to do this affordability comment and go with it when their constituents are hurting.
But they're not going to stop him either. I don't see.
No, but they're not. But they're not going to support him, such as changing the name of the Secretary of Defense to the Secretary. They're not going to do that. They're not. They just won't do anything. So they'll punt the football.
But how about this? We had a government shutdown for the entire month of October, basically.
But that was the Democrats' fault. Remember?
Yeah.
And the issue was the affordability of the Affordable Care Act,
right?
Which Republicans somehow thought, why are we giving money to insurance companies to provide people with insurance? Which is like pretty much like, when Mark wants to get a beer, he doesn't go to the bakery, right? He goes,
that's right.
So right. you gotta know where you're getting your stuff from, and where we get our healthcare benefits from as health insurance companies. It wouldn't have to necessarily be that way in every system in the world, but that's the way we do it here. And if we had a single payer system where the government just said to the insurance companies, we have a certain amount of money for each citizen based on their income, and you guys got to go out there and, or even not even based on their income, based on their needs, let's call it. Woo. And you guys got to go offer them the best plans that they can afford, that you can give them, and compete for their business and compete for every last person. That would be a good healthcare system that we would have. It would be affordable. Right now, a good number of people, I don't remember what the statistic was, get their healthcare from work benefits, but it blows a $299 billion benefit in tax revenue because it's not really the employers giving it to them. It's the government giving it to them and passing it through them as something that they can do. It makes no sense at all. Medicaid and Medicare make no sense at all, right? The government is going to take on the worst cases, the hardest cases, and everybody else is out there, in the free market. It really doesn't make, our healthcare system doesn't make any sense.
No, and you know what? You're right, Scott. And we learned that, our family learned that this year. And I think I've mentioned this before. I had cataract surgery earlier this year on one eye. Got to have the other one done next year. My wife retired, and we were offered health insurance. The premiums for the year would have been about $7,500 for the premiums. Now we're really very healthy, so we really don't need anything. So we declined it. We said no. I mean, Medicare is just around the corner for us, so no, we're not going to do that. To have the laser surgery done, to have the cataract surgery done, was $6,200. So that was like $1,300 less than the health insurance. And if I had the health insurance, I still would have had a copay, and I would have had a deductible that I would have had to pay out of pocket. So I would have had to pay the $7,500 for the premium. I would have had to pay the copay and the deductible. And we kind of sat down and figured it out. It would have cost $9,000 all total. All that together. I paid $6,200. So, I mean, you got to be very. Now, did we take a chance having no health insurance for the, for the year? Yeah, a little bit. But like I say, we're very, very healthy. We're not too terribly concerned about it. We have the means to be able to do, if something did catastrophic happen, to be able to do something, and make sure that we got the medical attention we got. But when we looked at that, it was like, wow, what a scam this health insurance stuff is. This is truly a scam. It would have cost more. I mean, just think about it. Would have cost more if I had taken the health insurance. Same thing. My dentist will always tell me, don't take the dental insurance. I'm just going to charge you. He goes, you're going to come for 2 cleanings a year. He goes, the total cost of those 2 cleanings is probably going to be a grand total, because I play golf with them, $200. And if I have to pull a tooth, add another $50 onto that. No big deal. The dental insurance is going to cost you $750. He goes, you aren't going to spend that. Just coming in, just hand me your thing, and it's done. So it's very, very true. Be very, very careful. And a single payer system would be very nice. Would be a great idea.
Yeah, and but over the weekend, Trump announced that he's working, or maybe he said it yesterday during that crazy press conference, cabinet meeting that he had. That he kept falling asleep during. He kept saying. He said that he was working with the Democratic leadership to deal with the healthcare situation, which to me means that he's going to give the subsidies that Obamacare needs to make it affordable, which means that they shut down the government for a month for no reason at all. And I'm sure that the Republicans are really, really angry right now. The Republicans in Congress went out on a limb for him to not support this, to shut down the government, to refuse to negotiate until the Democrats came back. And by the way, they did the same thing last March. If anybody has forgotten, that was the deal in March. Schumer decided we're not going to shut down the government. They've promised that they're going to sit down and talk to us about this. We're going to come up with some kind of agreement. And then it took them from March until October, and they still hadn't sat down and done an agreement. So the government shut down. And now the government's open again. and they're negotiating. Finally. Well, none of that stuff had to happen. They could have come to this. Because there is no Republican plan. The Obamacare was the Republican plan. It was the plan that Heritage Foundation came up with. It's a Rube Goldberg contraption where everybody gets a little and gives a little, and the government's part in it is making it affordable with tax subsidies. That's the government's part in it. And what the insurance companies get is that money, and what people get is coverage, including for pre-existing conditions, which had not been the case before that. And so everybody should be unhappy and everybody should be happy at the same time is a huge compromise. But we're going to end up in the same place that we would have ended up had they just agreed to do that in March.
There you go. Absolutely. But I hear there's a concept of a plan coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Right. Right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Along with
That
the
was,
Doge
what was it?
check.
No, that was 2017 that we heard that. Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
is it 2 weeks up yet?
How tone deaf is it to say we'll give everybody $2,000 and that should cover everything?
Yep.
Yes, we're going to
Yep.
give
Plus
$2,000
the
and
Doge
just
checks.
put right next to your Doge check of $5,000. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, heck, I'm expecting to be rolling in the cash any moment now.
Yep.
And we have
Yep.
a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn and
Yeah.
some swampland in Florida. I think John lives there from Tallahassee. He lives there, and he's got some land to sell you, and he thinks it's great. All right, guys.
So thank you for the question.
Thank
For the
you.
question.
Yes. And that's all the time we have for today's episode. The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We want to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing team, Apple Podcasts, the largest source of podcast and music online, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your destination for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. And most importantly, we want to thank you, our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society could not be possible. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on the platform of your choice. It's easy, it's free, and helps our channel grow. For questions or comments, you can reach us at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So on behalf of Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershworth, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power of society is knowledge. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Journal of Interdisciplinary Conflict Sciences, the JICS. This open access journal, double peer-reviewed, provides a platform for emerging scholars to publish their work and engage in meaningful dialogue across disciplines. The JICS is currently accepting article submissions on an ongoing basis and is published through the NovaWorks Scholarly Repository at Nova Southeastern University. You'll find a link to the journal in our episode description.